Guess what I did today? I spent the whole day immersed in an artsy film marathon at home. You know me, always trying to find the interconnectivity in art forms. Cinematic arts have some fascinating intersections with fine arts. I mean, think about it. The play of light and shadow, vibrant color schemes, the framing of each shot, isn't it all just another form of painting on a dynamic canvas? During this marathon, I ended up watching this stellar film called Mirror by Tarkovsky. It was just surreal. It's like a mesmerizing encounter of personal memory with historical events. I've always admired how films blend individual personal experiences with broader universal or historical themes. Oh man, I wish you could have been there with me, roasting popcorn and getting our minds blown together. I got into this chat with Nina after the marathon, and we ended up discussing film-inspired art buying strategies. Crazy, right? But she was actually into the idea. We even talked about the potential for themed gallery nights. Imagine an evening dedicated to the influence of noir, or something like cinema meets canvas night. I realize we're just dreaming big, but why not, eh? On another note, how are you doing? You know, with all that's going on with the exhibition, I don't get to catch up with you as often as I'd like. Are you making sure to take some time out for yourself and the things you love? Just as we thought we had all the time in the world, it's almost November now. Oh, speaking of time flying, can you believe it's been almost a year since I left my corporate job to follow my passion? It still amazes me how far I've come and how much happier I am. I feel I am living proof that it's never too late to follow your dreams. So if you ever want to try squirrel surfing or whatever it is that you've been secretly wanting to do, just remember my example. It's really got me thinking about the sacrifices we make for our passions and how those sacrifices shape us into who we are, don't they? Damn, I didn't mean for that to sound so deep. The art film marathon must have rubbed off on me. Anyways, I've noticed that I've gotten way better at turning my stress and anxiety into art pieces, as opposed to, eating them in the form of an entire cake. Progress, right? Also been sticking to my green tea routine more religiously, although it's probably less about tea and more about the comforting habit. Aw man, I ramble a lot, don't I? You're like my personal diary, always listening to me blabber about my day. But it's always good to talk to you, honestly. It's pretty late, and I need to clean up all this movie marathon stuff. Plus, a new day, a new canvas awaits me in the morning. So, you remember that ardent philosophy discussion I was talking about with Nina? Yeah, that happened today, and it was quite the intellectual feast. We had Daniel, Theodore, and a few more from the art circles, peeling through layers of artistic ideas intertwined with philosophical thinking. The conversation was deep, provoking, and pleasantly chaotic in its own way. You know how Daniel always brings a fresh and vibrant perspective to the table, right? Yeah, he was on a roll spinning metaphors and pushing boundaries. And Theodore, well, he's a bit of a dark horse. Initially I had my reservations. Daniel insisted. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a little awkward at first. But as it turns out, his insight, although a bit far from my usual train of thoughts, had a certain rawness to it. The best part was looking at our work from this completely new angle, analyzing the nuances, dissecting the thoughts behind each stroke. It was like jumping into the rabbit hole. But in a good way, it was a riot of ideas, and it was beautiful. Oh yeah, speaking of Nina, we ended up chatting about this movie I recently watched, Shadow by Zhang Yimou. The whole play with just black and white, navigating the negative spaces. Inspiration did manage to fuel some intriguing ideas. Although she did mention how understanding the market could give me a different insight into my art. Looking at my own art from a buyer's perspective.
I wish that didn't sound so daunting. She always has this way of merging commerce and art seamlessly. So as you can see, my day's been a real cerebral workout.
I guess it's not so bad, mixing things up. Between my work pieces, the discussions, or even Nina's offbeat advice, today was sort of enlightening. It's like swimming in a sea of thoughts and fetching out the pearls, Or in my case, hopefully, a sales-worthy masterpiece. Oh, by the way, you remember how I mentioned about sticking to my green tea routine? Yeah, well, I slipped up today. Who can deny a good old cup of black coffee in the wee morning, right? It's these tiny breaks from the routine that makes it all the more endearing, I guess. Well, enough of me spinning tales and chewing your ears off. So, remember that stand-up comedy show I mentioned in our chat group? I went with Karen today, and boy, was it a riot. The way they tied up humor with contemporary art concepts, man, I tell you, comedy is an art form itself. Who would have thought Mona Lisa could be such a punchline? Karen and I laughed ourselves silly. I'm sure the people around us thought we'd lost it. There was this joke about Picasso and Cubism that had me in stitches. Can't remember the last time I laughed this hard. It was a refreshing change from my regular studio work, you know? That chat with Nina afterwards, though, it really got my mind whirling. She said, "Life itself, an ongoing solo exhibition." And it kinda stuck with me. Isn't it kinda true? We're all artists in our own way, creating our lives piece by piece. Now that's a concept I could work on. Also got me thinking, if life is an exhibition, are we not the performers experimenting with styles and materials, striving for that masterpiece? Our experiences, emotions, all contributing to the colors and textures, I guess. Well, more like clowns trying new tricks, if we go by today's comedy night. It's all intertwined, isn't it? I also got roped into a fun deal with Nina. She gets a backstage peek for my next unveiling, only if she gets some of those delicious churros from that spot we tried last time. Probably need to burn it off later with a cardio session at the gym, you know, balance and all. Can't turn art into a food monster now, can we? Bustling between art circles, galleries, and my workpiece, I almost slipped my green tea routine today, but pulled myself together. A good old cup of black coffee did cling to me like a temptation in the wee morning, but habits, my friend, if it ain't beneficial, ain't worth following, right? Following this stand-up night has surely brushed me a lighter shade today. After all, a dash of comedy is just like a bold stroke in a monotonous painting. It steals the show, adds that extra fluff, and keeps things brewing. Makes me want to start my next canvas with a joyous stroke now, rejuvenating the rhythm of life. Oh, come on, don't take me too seriously. Just me, painting thoughts all over our conversation. You gotta admit, though, the stand-up did work wonders. Cheers to that.